Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another collaboration beer. This time between Great Notion Brewing and McMenamins, both of which are headquartered in Portland, Oregon, and this is their Ruby Jammin. So they're calling this one a tart ale with a raspberry, lime, and natural flavors. It comes in at 7% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review, this can is just over 3 months old. So about a month ago, I reviewed Overripe from Great Notion, and at the same time I picked up that beer, I also picked up this beer because one of my favorite beers from Great Notion is their Blueberry Muffin, which is a sour ale. Basically tasted like liquefied blueberry muffins in a sour beer, and it was delicious. So I kind of wanted to grab a sour beer from them, and this sounded pretty good. You got the raspberry and lime. Are they kind of going for like a raspberry limeade or maybe like a raspberry lime Ricky? I have no idea. And this is a collaboration with McMenamins, which is a family-owned business in the Pacific Northwest. And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you've probably heard about them before. I have not, but they, I guess, own a bunch of breweries, brew pubs. They even own like hotels. And one of their like flagship or well-known beers is their Ruby, which is like a low ABV raspberry fruit beer. So they kind of are doing a mishmash of that beer along with the Jammy Pants fruited sour series from Great Notion. So let's crack this one open, get in the glass, and see what we got going on here. So I'm really excited. I really like raspberry. I really like raspberry lime flavored things, especially the combination for me just usually works quite well. This looks pretty carbonated. I don't like crazy aggressive with the pour, but I got this big glass because I like to try to fit the entire beer in here, and I don't know based on the carbonation if that's going to be a thing that I can do right off the rip. So we're just going to do something like that so I can get my nose in there, and then we'll pour the rest in. This was kept upside down in, there's like a dent in the can. This was kept upside down in my fridge, like a lot of these heavily fruited sours are. So anyway, that looks beautiful. That honestly, like in person, probably be darker on camera, but in person has this like almost like if you had like blood orange juice or like a ruby red grapefruit juice. It's like really dark. If you mix like one of those maybe with like a little bit of raspberry, it's like this deeper pink color, but not quite purple. It definitely looks like a red and orange kind of combination. Had about a 2-finger, I would say very light pink colored head. That soap sudsy starting to dissipate a little bit. There is a little bit of like fruit pectin around the sides, a very small and minute, doesn't look crazy. Hold up to the light, you can't see through it. It's murky, it's turbid. It's kind of what I expected out of this beer. Let's get a nose. That smells awesome. That smells like a raspberry limeade, or I would maybe even say if I was doing this blind, like a cherry limeade. If you've ever had like Sonic's cherry limeade, or just like my favorite, honestly, Sonic does a great job with their cherry limeades. Don't get them really all that often. When I do, it's kind of like a treat. But Sunkist does a cherry limeade, and I think Sunkist's cherry lime soda pop is better than Sonic's. I know that's blasphemous, especially if you like Sonic's, but like I loved everything about it. I couldn't find it for years. I first had it in North Carolina back in like the early 2010s, 2011, 2012, and then just randomly last year it showed up here in like 20-ounce bottles, and I bought one. I was like, this is delicious. Kind of smells like that, but if it was raspberry instead of cherry. So yeah, there's raspberry, there's lime. You smell like this is going to definitely be tart, if not sour. There's also a little bit of vanilla. Now they say natural flavors on Instagram and on Untappd. They say raspberry, lime, and vanilla, so I can see that. It doesn't have quite like a creamsicle vibe, but there's a little bit of vanilla floating around. So almost like if this was like raspberry lime, like sherbet, like the ice cream. It's a little bit of like this slight, there's a touch of like a floral aspect. It's kind of different. Yeah, so I mean this smells like a sour beer that has raspberry and lime in it. But again, I'm getting more of that limeade-esque kind of feel to it. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. There's the vanilla. Yeah, that's fucking delicious. Oh, that's really, really good. Like really good. And the beauty about it is I think just because of the fruits, but also because there's not a bunch of other adjuncts like marshmallows. And I don't see it mentioned lactose. There could be lactose in here. A lot of breweries do lactose, don't say it. But it's actually not all that sweet, which I think works beautiful for something like this. By at 7%, this is like lower side of medium, approaching medium, maybe a bit thin. But I'll be honest with you, I think the thin body kind of gives it more of a like more of a drinkability, because it's not weighing down the palate with, like, you know, the thick fruit puree a lot of times you get with these heavily fruited. And I think this is actually brewed with the puree as opposed to like mixed post fermentation, because while there's I don't, maybe there isn't as the pectin as much as just normal lacing, but anyway, yeah. So the body's like a little bit under medium body. The mouthfeel, it's very crisp, it's effervescent, it's spritzy on the tongue, it's dancing. So this is like moderate to touch over moderately carbonated. It's pretty smooth as far as the beer goes, but it's not soft, it's not creamy. What I would say, this is like an old school sour, right? This doesn't have the new school crazy fruit smoothie or like slushy kind of feel to it. And I think that actually works with these flavors more so than if this was, you know, fruit pureed beyond belief, because I think it would A, be too sweet, and B, I think it would kind of ruin the refreshing nature of this one. The taste, it's quite simplistic, but it's quite delicious. It's raspberry lime throughout the palate, so it's omnipresent. The first thing you get is raspberry, followed by like a blast of like a tart lime, almost a sour lime. Midway through the palate is where I get the vanilla. So then it starts giving me like, you know, if there was a raspberry lime sherbet, kind of in that realm, or like something in that realm. Maybe like a raspberry lime sorbet would probably be more appropriate. It finishes full on dry. There's really no bitterness, but the beauty about this, as I said at the beginning of the review, and in the first sip that I took, it's not super sweet, or it's not really, it doesn't really have a pronounced like sweetness. It's a little bit sweet up front, but I think because they're using raspberries and limes, I think the lime is cutting that. The base beer is just producing this very firm tartness on the finish, because again, this finish is full on dry with a firm tartness. There's a very mild acidity here, but the acidity isn't overblown, which is another reason why I like this one. I don't feel like I'm gonna drink the rest of this and have heartburn by the time I'm done. This is absolutely just super tasty. Like, I'm kind of surprised. I don't know why. Again, that blueberry muffin from Great Notion was pretty damn good. This just has like, if I'm gonna pick something up like this, there's a lot of issues, and if you watch the channel and you see the fruited sour reviews I do, more often than not, in almost every review, I'll talk about like the drinkability, and what wins me over is if the beer itself has a big drinkability, meaning I could finish this can and it's not overly sweet, because a lot of the heavily fruited sours are way too sweet, and after, you know, at most half the can, I'm just like, I don't want it. I'd rather share that can with somebody. This one, that is not an issue. Like, I'll drink the crap out of this because the raspberry and lime is well integrated into the base. You taste the base sour. It's not overly sweet. It's actually, if anything, a little bit unbalanced to like the tart, drier side of it. And I think I appreciate it quite a bit because of that fact. I think they did a really good job with this. And I got to pick up more Great Notion. I think we got like one Jammy Pants. We don't get Great Notion a lot here in Buffalo, New York, but when they show up, they usually have like, you know, 4, 5, 6 different beers. And I picked up the 2 that sounded the most enjoyable, perhaps, to my palate. And I think I nailed it with this one, because this is quite tasty. So Ruby Jammin, collaboration between Great Notion and McMenamins. Probably saying that incorrectly, but you know, it's a McMenamins. But anyway, I have no issues whatsoever in giving this one. Wow, I'm gonna have to go a little bit higher than I thought. I was thinking like high 4.25. I'm gonna go low 4.5. I'm gonna go 4.4 out of 5 for this one. Yeah, it's just really tasty. There's not much more to say about 7% too. Like, you can't tell. So I go 4.4 out of 5 for that one. Price point availability, I paid $6.99 for that can. Little bit on the expensive side for the beer, I will accept, you know, I mean, but most of these, if you see these big, like, I don't know if this is technically, I mean, it looks like it's heavily fruited, but again, it doesn't have like the fruit puree pectin remnants on the glass. But like, these are typically, if they show up from out of state, anywhere between $6 to $10 a can. I try to not go over $8 a can, so this is $6.99. It's fine. I prefer to pay, you know, $6.50, but it is what it is. And availability, I have no idea what Great Notion. I just know we see them here occasionally in Buffalo, New York. I know a lot of other people see their stuff occasionally as well. If you happen upon this can, again, it's just over 3 months old. I think this is going to hold up for at least another 2-3 months. I'd say give it a go if you like raspberry lime, if you like limeades, especially raspberry limeades, or like if you like sherbet, like fruity sherbet. Whether it's, you know, most of the time sherbet has specific characters, but or sorbet. Sorbet would be another one. Pick this one up. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Am I getting hammered? I've only drank like 5 ounces. Not getting hammered. I just can't speak well. It's the Beer Patrol. English words, they don't exist. Anyway, Appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.